Mississippi State is about to be handed their 8th loss.
If I hear cowbells in Neyland, I'm going to booth all over the place.
I'm Shea, and this is Jace. Today we're going to be looking at how each team can win, the key players, and our final PCS score predictions. So the game we're talking about is going to be in Neyland on November 9th this weekend at 7 p.m. Rocky Top time. The line's at 24.5, and the over-under is 62.
Our opponent this weekend is Mississippi State. They're 2-7 under Jeff Lebby this season. Far and away the worst team in the SEC. I mean, they lost to Toledo, so, yeah, they're terrible. Absolutely winless in the SEC. I will say they've had a tough schedule. Like, the worst team they played is either Florida or Arkansas. You can, take your pick.
Yeah, they've had the 4th toughest schedule in the nation.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them. They have been able to compete with some pretty good teams, though I will say Georgia and A&M were both 10-point losses, and they were, they never really were in that game, but the score made it look like they were, so I can respect that at least. And they're coming off of a 45-20 UMass win. They actually went down 10-0 early in that game, and it's like, oh boy, here we go. But they ran off 35 straight and then kind of cruised to a win after that.
Yeah, looked like another Toledo game. Looking at how each team can win, let's start with Tennessee. This is going to sound pretty obvious, but Tennessee needs to be the better team because they are the better team. They just have better athletes, better coaching. This team has more chemistry. They've been together, longer, and they should just be able to out-physical Mississippi State at this point.
I kind of had the same thing. If you look at Mississippi State versus Tennessee just on paper, they have a new head coach. They have a new quarterback. Their starting quarterback went out this year, so they haven't had as much time as Nico to kind of gel. They really, I don't feel like they kind of had an identity until game 4 or 5, and we've had an identity, even if the fans don't like it. We're a defensive team who's had offensive struggles, but I kind of wrote down the same thing. I just said beat Tennessee. The spread is 24.5, and the most we've scored in SEC play is 25. I mean, that just shows you all you need to know. There's just a class difference here.
Yeah. And secondly, no gash plays. Tennessee cannot let that up, and to be honest, I don't see them letting that up at all. I know that the strength of Mississippi State is their offense. I know Kevin Coleman is capable of that, but I don't think their O-line is capable of giving Van Buren enough time. So, yeah, we got to make sure that duo doesn't really get anything off on us.
I'll skip ahead here in my how Mississippi State can win. That's kind of what I wrote down. Michael Van Buren and Kevin Coleman have to have a legacy game. Yeah. Just insane. They got to get the ball off quickly because, as you said, their O-line is terrible and their defense is terrible. Really, the only thing they've been able to rely on all year is Van Buren at times. He's not some godly quarterback, but he's been good considering their circumstance, right?
Yeah.
He's a freshman. Their O-line's terrible. New head coach. All those things into consideration, I think Mississippi State fans should be happy about what Van Buren has done this year.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not good, but he's not bad. And then Kevin Coleman, he's not, a top 5 receiver in the SEC because, this is pretty star-studded guys. But he's a guy you can't not talk about when you talk about some of the better receivers in the league.
The third way that Tennessee can make sure they win this game is to stay neutral on offense. They really don't have to be crazy. We don't need Nico to throw for 500 or for Sampson to run for 250. We really just need to be turnoverless and stay consistent and not have 3 and outs.
Yep.
And I think that's very possible against this Mississippi State defense, which has been really bad.
Yes. We're really on the same page here so far. I said let our offense be comfortable and don't do anything crazy. As you said, this Mississippi State defense is horrible. They're 121st in defensive efficiency in the country. I mean, that has you down in some of the worst teams, worst conferences in the country, which is honestly embarrassing for an SEC team. I know they've had a tough schedule, but, we're going to beat them pretty bad, I assume, this weekend, so I don't want to go too hard on them right now.
We hope we will.
But I didn't really have anything on our defensive side as a way to win because we've been good all year. The one thing I will say is, this is going to be a good opportunity for us to really get after a quarterback consistently.
Yeah.
This could be a 5-sack game for James Pierce or something crazy like that. Because, 2 things I'll say is we have Georgia next, right? So there could be some sort of chance that we look ahead to Georgia and we have miscues. I mean, we've seen drops and screw-ups from our receiver to quarterback connection all season. And, a way to limit that is just to really beat up and confuse Van Buren. I mean, if they can't score any points, there's really no way we can lose this game.
Yeah, I agree with you that I didn't really jot down a lot of defensive ways that we can win, but I am done predicting that Tennessee is going to have a breakout game or that players are going to have breakout games. I really hope that Pierce can finally put some stats up. We know he's been really good.
He's been good in like ways that you don't see in box scores, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have the numbers in any way, but this would be his chance. This O-line's bad. We've seen Mississippi State give up some of the most sacks in the SEC so far this season, but what I will say about the defense is that we can't pull a Georgia, okay? Yeah. This Mississippi State offense can score. We've seen that all season long. So when you look at even Georgia giving up 31 to them, it's possible that Tennessee does the same. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say, if they put up 31, that'll make me nervous. I don't think we can score. We have not scored over 30 against an SEC team this year.
Nope.
I don't know how bad Carson Beck played in that game. Probably another 3-pick game, or maybe that was right before that trend started. But like I said, we need to be neutral. Basically, just be neutral on both sides of the ball. Don't do anything crazy. Just be the better team, like I said earlier, and you will win.
This is the worst team we played since Kent State, and there's just no reason that we should let them hang around like they've shown that they can do this whole season. I'll say it like this. If they are able to hang around, I'm going to be really nervous, as you said, because they have nothing to lose at this point in the season. They are officially bowl ineligible, and we have everything to lose. If we lose this game,
we're done.
It's going to be hell, raising hell on Rocky Top, right?
If we lose this game, we're losing to Vandy too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if we lose this game, there's a huge chance we could go winless in the rest of the season, which means no more playoff. SEC title hopes are shot, of course, but I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. The point is that we just need to take care of business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not a good team, they're not a good defense, and this is our absolute last chance to put up some fireworks on offense.
Yeah.
We won't do it against Georgia. We could do it against Vandy, but my point is, if we don't do it against Mississippi State, the easy pickings game on the schedule are far and few, right?
Well, this is the second to last one.
And if we can do it against anybody, it's this team.
Right, yep.
So
this defense specifically.
Yeah. And, of course, if we don't do it against this defense, any playoff team that we could play wouldn't even be close to 121st in defensive efficiency.
Yeah, not even the worst playoff team.
Right.
So looking at Mississippi State, the first thing I have is limit Dylan Sampson, because I do think Tennessee is going to try to establish the run early and try to end this game quickly by just draining out the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Because they probably know that they have a good offense over there.
Yep.
Just going to try to keep them off the field and keep their weakness on the field, which is their defense. So if Mississippi State wants to have an idea of winning this game, it starts with limiting Dylan Sampson.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how likely they are to do that, but that's what they got to do.
I don't think it's possible at all, to be honest. When you look at Dylan Sampson, he just came off of a record-breaking game.
Yeah.
And I don't really see him stopping that pace. I mean, he has, realistically, I guess you can say 4 games left, right? That's the 3 games left in our schedule, and then I'll say a playoff game to break Derrick Henry's single-season rushing touchdown record at 28 is what he's at. So he has to get 10 touchdowns if he wants to break the record in 4 games. I mean, he could log 3 touchdowns in this game and not break a sweat, in my opinion.
He could, yeah.
But the point is that I don't think they have a chance to stop Dylan Sampson, realistically. What I think is more realistic, we've seen this defense can't even stop a bloody nose, so they have to just let Nico and our receivers screw up, right?
Yeah.
Which that's more realistic because that's what we've seen all year.
It's
us just having miscues.
Yeah, we are guaranteed to have a turnover in the first or second quarter.
I wouldn't say that because their defense is so bad. But
dude, usually it's just us.
It's just fumbling.
Yeah,
we saw it against Florida, Alabama, and Kentucky. Yeah. If we can give the game away to them, they can score enough points to win.
Yeah, True. So another thing for Mississippi State is instead of taking their points, I think they are in a position to just be risky. Like you just said,
Yep.
They have nothing to lose.
Yep.
They, their fan base is already, or the entire world is already expecting them to lose this game. So what's it matter if it's 4th and 5, on your own 40? Just go for it. Like,
Right.
why not?
I agree.
You're likely to get some of those. So
Yeah, I mean, again, on the same page, I just said be unpredictable.
yeah.
You got to pull out all the stops if you want to shock the country, right?
Yep. And that also, being risky, comes with tricky play calling.
Mm-hmm.
I think they pull out all their little tricks. I mean, who else do they have to play? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Pull out a trick every game you play. Just see what works and what doesn't with the team you have.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've kind of seen us get hurt on tricky play calling. The defense does get a little confused. We aren't bulletproof. So
No. Yeah, and going what you say, kind of like looking forward for Mississippi State. If you're Jeff Lebby and you want to kind of have a career at Mississippi State, this Van Buren to Coleman connection could be your kind of ticket to stay. So, you want to see them just improve their connection in that year, and then that'll help you on the recruiting trail, and the dominoes hopefully will fall in that regard.
Right.
The rest of the season is a tall task to try to get their team back going. So I just think you want to see as much positives as you can, as many silver linings as you can if you're the Bulldogs here.
Yeah, and this one's also another obvious one, but this goes for Mississippi State and not Tennessee. No turnovers. I think if Tennessee has a few turnovers, they can survive. But if Mississippi State has more than one, the game is probably over.
Yeah.
So they have to utilize every single opportunity that they get. It's just about actually executing that.
Yep. I 100% agree. The way that we can't turn them over is just, as I said, in Tennessee's way to win, our front seven just harassing Van Buren because he's young. I mean, we said he's promising, but he's young. And, if you have 5 Tennessee D linemen in your face, you're probably going to throw a pick or two or fumble.
Yeah.
So this is kind of true any team that Tennessee plays against. But get the ball off quick to Kevin Coleman, to your best players, to try to generate some of that easy offense.
Yeah, they could definitely abuse our zone here and there.
Yep.
And then, of course, they need to force turnovers. Like I said, I do think Tennessee can survive 2 or 3 turnovers, but it might be close. If they don't have a turnover on their opportunity, then they can at least get 3, or just keep the ball away from our offense. So don't have any, but force some.
The formula for really, really bad teams against really, really good teams is always the turnover battle, special teams, and you just got to get lucky sometimes.
Yeah.
And if Mississippi State can do all those 3 things, can they beat Tennessee on their homecoming game? We'll see.
I mean, and lastly, Tennessee's penalties are going to be there. We'll probably have no less than 6. So whenever we're on 3rd and 10 and Thornton actually catches it, and we get that holding penalty, and we punt after a 2-yard Sampson run on 3rd and 20, that needs to be treated like, the greatest opportunity in the world for Mississippi State.
Right.
They have to. We're gonna have a few of those. It happens every game. I've accepted it. It's up to them to drive down the field after it. All right, let's take a look at some of their key players. So it starts with Michael Van Buren. He has been pretty good for a freshman on a terrible team. Let's be honest.
Yep.
I would not be disappointed if I was a fan. I think we talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so why Van Buren is a key player is because of what you said earlier. Him and Coleman have to have this all-star, amazing performance to really stay in this game. So it starts with him.
I think, looking back at our last game, I agree, first of all, but looking back at our last game, you had the combination of Vandergriff and Dane Key. I would go as far to say that Van Buren and Kevin Coleman is a better duo than those 2 guys. So what does that mean for this game? Not a lot, I don't think, just because that's just kind of their backdoor chance. Like, we have Jamal McCoy, who's going to be shadowing Coleman all game, you assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, we do play a lot of zone, and there's opportunity for elite receivers to find those pockets or those spaces in the zone.
They have been. They definitely have.
They have been. Now, will a freshman quarterback find those pockets in the zone?
True.
I don't know, but we both agree for Mississippi State to win, Van Buren and Kevin Coleman just have to go off.
Real quick, who would you take? Would you take Coleman or Dan Key?
In a vacuum, that's tough because I think Dane Key has a better situation around him, which maybe makes him look a little bit better.
Yeah.
But just as a player, maybe Kevin Coleman.
Yeah.
Because I think it's impressive the things he's been able to do considering the rest of their offense is so terrible.
True. He's been more impressive than Van Buren. Maybe it's Coleman making Van Buren look impressive.
Maybe.
But my second key player is Devin Booth or Davon Booth. He is their running back with the most carries. Now, I know they got a few guys back there, but if he can get a few first downs for you and keep drives alive, that's kind of the key to success for them, is keeping their drives alive. So give him the rock and force him to get you a first down.
This is another guy, and really just Mississippi State's whole running back room that I think have been more impressive than we realize because of just how bad their O-line is.
Yeah, true.
Realistically, these running backs should not be able to do anything, but because their O-line is so bad. But but with our run D, I don't really fear their running game whatsoever. Moving on to the Tennessee side, though, my first key players is the Nico to receiver connection. I mean, based upon how our season's been going, this is probably a key player for us, going forward every game, because that connection has looked bad.
Yeah.
And the thing that concerns me the most is it's for different reasons every game. Sometimes Nico can't, hit the side of a barn. Sometimes the receivers can't catch a cold, or whatever you want to say. The connection has just been off. And I'll say this again because it's so important. If there's any game that connection can just be close to perfect as it was in the first 3 games, it's going to be this one. So I really look forward to see how that goes.
Unless I'm extremely underestimating this Mississippi State team, this can be a really good practice game for our receivers and Nico. Obviously, this is still an SEC team. Yeah. I don't want to underestimate them, but just kind of going with what you said, this can be a really good time for them to solidify a connection.
If this was an away game, I would be a lot more nervous because the whole formula is laid out. We haven't looked all that good this season. Mississippi State is, for once, or I guess twice now, is actually coming off of a win.
Yeah. We
have Georgia next week, so we could be looking. Again, it's not away, so that's superfluous to say, but saying as a practice game, that might be a little much, but I understand what you're saying. Because we do need every game we can get before the big dogs of Georgia in the playoffs, even Vandy, for our receivers and Nico to look good.
Yeah, practice game is not the most perfect way of phrasing that, but you guys know what I mean. And then quickly, my last 2 key players are Nico and Dylan Sampson. So for Nico, like I said, I want him to be neutral in this game. Maybe find some connection with the receivers like we just talked about, but really I just need him to stay healthy and don't do too much. All right? If you got to run for it, slide. Please, run out of bounds. He's been really good about that, but we saw him get injured. I don't want to see that again.
Absolutely no injuries this game. That would be absolutely horrible.
Yep. And then for Sampson, I just want to see him continue to chip at the SEC record. So let's get 3 touchdowns here, Sampson.
Yep. Yeah, as I said, he has 4 regular season games left, and then possibly a 5th playoff game if that circumstance ends up happening. So that's 5 games and 10 touchdowns. We've seen him score. He's scored 2 touchdowns almost every game this season.
Right.
So 2 or 3 at least touchdowns in this game. Probably can get at least 2 or 3 against Toledo.
Yeah.
Georgia, we'll see, but yeah, I think it's a lot more realistic, and he needs to hit 29. You said 30 way early in the season. That's not even crazy. We're over halfway through the season, and 30 is a legitimate possibility. That's just insane.
Yeah, he's been on pace since day one.
And every single playoff game we win, if again the circumstances like that, more opportunity for him to score.
Right.
Because he's been our only source of scoring really this season. So every game that we play, even if it's against the Georgia, you still say Sampson will score a touchdown, right?
Yeah, he'll punch it in.
And then for my last key players, it's just our defensive consistency. I'm not really too worried about this one. We've been a top 5 defensively consistent team in the country this season. But yeah, I mean they've proven they can put up points. We just need to limit them to that, because if we just have an absolutely stinky offensive game, again, we're going to need our defense to win. We don't want that to happen, but if we want to win the game, our defense is our keystone of our team, and they just need to keep on doing that.
Yep. Okay, so now Jason and I are going to give our PCS final score predictions. We do this each week through the PCS. If you go to thepcsonline.com, you'll see that you and any of your friends can predict the final score of any Tennessee matchup and then compare your scores at the end, because you get a prediction score that correlates to a letter grade, and you get to compare how well you did against your friend, just like Jason and I do every week. So, for this game, I believe, unlike last week and the week before that, this is going to be our first game over 35 or over 30 points against an SEC opponent. I believe Tennessee will come out on top 35-21.
I like that. I had a very similar prediction. If you look at the defensive efficiencies in the SEC, we have 3 SEC games left, and 2 of those games are the 2 bottom defensively efficient teams in the SEC.
Yeah.
Mississippi State, as I said, has a defensive efficiency of, it was like 25.2, and Vanderbilt, who's second to last, is 54.
Oh, wow.
The disparity there is insane. That just shows how bad Mississippi State is defensively. But my point is, we have opportunities to put up points, but we don't know if we will, right? The most we scored is 25. You said 35 here, which I like. I said early in the season I'm not going to go above 30 until the foreseeable future, and nothing has still made me say that we're going to do that. But just look at the statistics. I mean, I'm just going to squeak right over 30, say 31-17 here.
Yeah, I think if this is the Hendon Hooker-led Vols, give me like 62-21. But I think 21 might be a little high, but their strength is their defense, and our weak point is just our offense. So,
and they've been shown they can throw in some garbage points here or there.
Exactly.
Keep it close, right? So
it's weird because I could see them getting 28 points, and I can see them getting 3 points. So, I don't know. Just kind of meet a little bit in the middle at 21. Same for you at 17.
I just want us to just have that 50 ball or 60 ball again so bad. We haven't seen that in so many months. You know, and in 2022, even sometimes in 2023, we were just so used to that, and now we're deprived. Boo-hoo, right? Not scoring 50 points every game. But
give me 35. Give me anything over 30. I will be so happy.
Yeah.
But again, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Volcast. We are going to be giving our Mississippi State review after the game, so stay tuned for that. We also cover the SEC, and we do a lot of rankings and predicting there. So check us out. Subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed the content. Again, thank you for listening. I'm Shea. This is Jace.
Go Vols!
Go Vols!